Hey, what's up, all you bad guys out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with IDW Sonic the Hedgehog Bad Guys. Issue number 1, titled A Few Bad Men. And this is the series that Ian Flynn has taken over writing duty, while Evan Stanley handles the main book. Catch that video, it should already be up on my channel. But while we are dealing with the Chow races in the main book, the bad guys will be intersecting as the disgraced Mr. Starline, Dr. Starline. He's got a few bad ideas of his own. Let's jump in as we open up with Starline desperately trying to get some parts, equipment, anything he possibly can from one of Eggman's less reputable bases. It's very bare bones, only has so much going on. It's still an Eggman base with egg ponds, but of course, he wants to try to get in. Now, he originally thinks that he should be able to get in because his password should still work. But, much to his surprise, Eggman actually had thought to change and lock him out in terms of this. Because ultimately, while Eggman might not have a lot of forethought, he actually does tend to be pretty up on revenge and holding a vendetta. So when you're in his bad book, you're in his bad book. So Starline is kind of at a bit of a disadvantage as he gets set upon by Motobugs, and that's because he doesn't have his Warp Topaz anymore. Usually he could rely on the Warp Topaz to get him out of bad situations, but without that, he's kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, I don't have that anymore. So he's come up with a extra form of attack, basically turning his spurs into a multi-tool heel spurs, charged with electric energy. So he does this kind of whirlwind, kick arounds, and he smashes all the Motobugs. However, it's only got so much in it. He can't really handle that much. He can take down a few rampant badniks, but it's not really something for endless waves of enemies. That's kind of the difference between a lot of other characters in Sonic. He can go through badniks like nobody's business. Other characters, they can take down a few here and there, but they might need some backup to do it. So he has no choice but to beat feet and retreat back to his base. Now, he has a few badniks that are subservient to him that he has brought under his control, but that's not enough for what he's trying to do. He actually has long-term plans in the making, certain, enforcers that he's trying to create. But he needs more supplies, he needs more equipment, he just needs more as a whole. But that requires brute force and strength which he does not possess. Stuff that he can't do on his own. But he can't get the help of Sonic and his friends because that's who he's trying to defeat. And they can't get the help of Eggman because, well, Eggman. Once you're in his bad book, you're in his bad book. I keep saying that, but seriously, this guy holds a grudge. So he's not going to forgive Starline for what he did anytime soon. But Starline comes up with a bit of a plan, a dastardly, devious plan. So we cut over to the Everhold prison, which, can I just say, I love the way this prison is set up, like a friggin' guitar. Like, dude, that is cool. That is an amazing design. Kudos to Jack Lawrence, the illustrator for this issue, because it's just, I really just love some of the designs he comes up with here. So, in comes Starline, and he just comes right into the warden's office, and before you can even wonder, well, the warden can even wonder how he got in there, we see that Starlight has another invention up his sleeve, namely in his gauntlet. It wasn't just the warp topaz, it was this hypnotizing kind of gauntlet, I guess, like hypnotizing effect. The gauntlet has a hypnotizing effect. There we go. Had to find the words. The gauntlet has a hypnotizing effect. So he's able to deceive the warden into making him think that, this little slip of paper has him marked as the man for the job. We don't know what job it is, but he's the man for the job that the warden needs. So the warden ends up bringing him to the lower levels, where the worst of the worst is in prison, namely Mimic, fresh off the heels of his defeat in the Tangle and Whisper miniseries. Well, there's probably like a few months or so after the fact, and also Rough and Tumble, which last we saw them, they had just been freed from the hole they were in when they turned into Zombots, and the comment by Tangle from that issue that they'd probably end up arrested within the day, seemed like they kind of got away with a few days, but they had the none too bright idea to re-infiltrate and take over Barricade Town. But who would have thought Barricade Town, the town with a whole bunch of weapons, had a whole bunch of weapons that they were all too willing to use. And we also have the worst of the worst, namely the Zeti Zavok, the mastermind and leader of the Deadly Six, who immediately points out to the warden, you do know that Starline, Eggman's protege, but before the warden can react, he's put to sleep by Dr. Starline. And he makes this claim to all of them to say, I was Eggman's flunky, but no more. I was wrong about the doctor. He just used me like he used all of you. But I will not let that indignity stand. Together we can get our revenge on Dr. Eggman, which immediately none of them are taking on this. But, with Mimic, when he offers to wipe Mimic's entire existence from the Eggnet, so that Eggman won't have any records of Mimic. Mimic will be a complete afterthought to Eggman. This would help Mimic out a lot. It's kind of like a clean slate in terms of Eggman's surveillance. That could be a great boon to Mimic. Meanwhile, with Rough and Tumble, ultimately, while they're still kind of mad about being doused with the metal virus goo from the start, being the carriers, patient zero and all that stuff, ultimately they do agree when Starline offers to make them weapons. So, they're just that easy. They just want weaponry. Zavok's a bit of a trickier cell, as Starlight has to play into Zavok's ego, saying, oh, I should never have followed Eggman, I should have followed you. You're the tactical mind that I always should have been serving. I'm a lackey, as you said. And who better to serve under than the one who was able to get the Zombots organized and fully unleash to their fullest potential. I am here to serve you, oh Master Zavok. And, I love this because, Zavok does have a bit of an ego. However, we also get to see that both of them know that once their backs are turned, once all is said and done, they're going to betray each other. Zavok knows that Starlight is looking to betray him at the first drop of a hat. He knows, but he wants to use him to his fullest to get back with his crew and get their revenge on Eggman. Meanwhile, Starlight is looking to get his revenge simply because of the fact that it's just like, you ruined my plans. If it were not for you, I would have still been in the good graces of Eggman, and I would have seen the plan through to fruition. So they're both after something, but Zavok dubs them the Deadly Four. His Deadly Four, as they will be going out into the world and causing all kinds of havoc. However, the warden managed to wake up just in time to sound the alarm, but he's taken out again and Mimic assumes his form in order to get past the voice recognition system to get them out of the cell. So they lock up the warden within Mimic's own holding cell, and while Mimic goes through the door and bottlenecks all of the forces headed their way, Starline's able to take down two, and so is Zavik. So immediately we're getting to see how good of a team they actually are together. And I miss this. I love me some evil teams. This is very reminiscent of the Archie books and Scourge and his breakout and all that stuff. I love deadly alliances. They're always fun, and they were fun in the Archie book too. The Destructics. I love their whole thing, especially when they joined up with Scourge and all that good stuff. I miss this kind of camaraderie where it's evil upon evil upon evil. We even get to see Rough and Tumble actually show their worth to Zavik, as they actually are fairly decent combatants. However, Mimic notes, can't you just take control of the Wispens? But Zavik wanted to step back and see what Rough and Tumble could actually do. But he does step in when they get a little in over their heads, and he sets off all of the Wispens, sending all of the guards flying. They manage to break into the control room, and whereas Starlight wants to shut off the alarms and open up all the locks, Zavik has a more devious idea to scramble all communications and open all the cell doors, sending the entire place into chaos as they escape. And this would do great to covering up their tracks as well. I like this. See, Zavik's tactical mind. It really does play a great role here, and it really does make you wonder what's in store for Starlight at the end of this. Meanwhile, Rough and Tumble ultimately do decide that they will go along with Starline and Zavik because they ain't really got much else to do, and Mimic's in simply because of the fact that, he just wants Eggman off his back. That's the whole reason why he even went after Whisper, because Eggman just would not leave him alone unless he dealt with all of the Diamond Cutters. So, chaos ensues in the prison, and cool guys don't look at explosions. They turn their heads and they walk away. So everyone manages to make their way out and they're ready to do some real damage. I loved this issue. A great start to something amazing. And I'm just really thrilled with this. It was fun. It was exciting. It was awesome. Like Zavik, wow. I've just really never been that interested in Zavik like that. He's okay, but here, like, the depths of how devious he could be. I wish we got more of this Zavik. Like, Ian just brings his A game, bringing this character to life. And he comes off very much as how Mammoth Mogul used to be. The mind is deadlier than anything else about him, and I love that. I'm really impressed by this. And, seeing Starlight has a little bit more going on than just the warp topaz is actually kind of fun to see. It would be amazing if Starlight actually ended up kind of liking Zavik to some degree. They got some mutual respect going on there, but Zavik's kind of racist in the fact that he only is just like, oh, they're non-Zeddy, so they can't really be that formidable or interesting. But this group of enforcers and all this that Starlight is trying to set up, those two pods that he had in his office, I'm wondering what that's all about. So if nothing else, we might see them at the end of this or in a following story arc in the main book, as I think this series is only like 4 issues. But, this might as well be the Betrayal Squad. They're just going to go about betraying each other at some point. Rough and Tumble have no real loyalty to this. Mimic's whole thing is literally deception, and Zavik doesn't care for anything but his Zeddy, and Starline literally just wants to use them. He wanted expendable minions, and that's it. But really fun stuff. You know, it is just really cool, and I like that there are still limitations. Zavik can only control so much within such a finite range. Starlight has his heal spurs, but they're only able to do so much. His hypnotism can only do so much, and anyone with a strong enough will can get around it. It's so cool. Very Suicide Squad-esque. I would actually love to see their numbers grow, but I know that ultimately we won't see that happen. This is a short-lived thing, and it's just not meant to be, I feel. But, fun stuff, great writing, great art, great plot, great pacing, great, great, great altogether, and I can't wait to see more. But if you like this video, please leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike. And tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Where do you think this series will go in the future? And who do you think will get the drop on who as we go along? So subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you never miss out on another issue of Sonic the Hedgehog Bad Guys or the main Sonic the Hedgehog book. And I hope to see you in the next issue. Until then, bye-bye.